So I was driving down the road and had the median, you know, and of course, there's the median, whatever. Emergency cars are coming and people will stop the cars. And I remember, in my head, I was like, "It's so stupid, This is so stupid that there's a median and we just can't go, And I can see that. I'm looking. I'm like, there's not even houses or anything here. This is just all pasture, right? And I said, man, maybe that would be different if it was houses. I was like, man, it would be probably different. I could see it, and I could see it from that standpoint. So I would have to say that I had to think about that. It started in this place where it's like, man, it doesn't make sense, right? And gains momentum. And as you start thinking about it, you're like, well, I guess I can see why I do it. And there's no reason to get mad because I get it, right? And so I said, man, the thing about it is, if you were to leave that up to interpretation, like if you were to write it into law or legally, you have to understand that, like, when you start saying things like reasonable person or, reasonable, and you start using terms like that, that's not as black and white as one may think. Because you have to understand, reasonable is different for everybody. So when we say reasonable, like, what are we basing that off of? What are we basing that off of? I'm pretty sure, there's people in some pretty high places that think something is reasonable that people barely making it would define it as, So some kind of way you have to find a way to take the variability out of something. If you want to find a solution at least. So you look up, man, and you think like, man, how do we take the subjectiveness out of that, right? So, yeah. How do we take the subjectiveness out of that? Yeah, you take the subjective. So now you're not talking about what a reasonable person is. You can put standards in there, and it's pass or fail. I think what you find, I think that you find is the problem is because whatever that overarching the highest you can get, the highest, and probably something like above that a little bit, nobody wants. Not in reality, not the reality of it. Not in its purest form. People, we don't want it. We want some variation of it that, where we can like customize it. And everybody has their own version of that, man. So a lot of times when we have these conversations, like we're having these conversations with two parties. There's the people that, that say absolutely like, no, I won't compromise. my morals, values, whatever. There's people that they say no, and they're true to that. 10 out of 10 times, that's the decision they're going to make. Not saying it's going to be. Not saying it's easy. Not saying it's easy. They just believe. They believe, in integrity. They hate the decisions they have to make sometimes. Okay? 10 out of 10. You have to understand that the majority of us are like, man, 10 out of 10 is like impossible. I mean, we're humans, man, and we start rambling off these justifications for why we don't want to do the right thing 10 out of 10 times. Whew. Man, so everybody that we listen to, man, and everybody that does all this talking, like, basically, it's just everybody that said they don't want to do 10 for 10. And we're all just arguing for, like, why our reason still, like, makes us feel like we deserve the admiration that they get. The 10 out of 10ers. That's why you find, man, it's just all pointless, man. It's pointless. Everything. Think about it. Just think about it. I mean, that applies to anything. That applies to, how you treat people. How you approach your job, your relationships, your friends, people you have issues with. There's always that 10 out of 10. You just don't we just look for our ways to finagle our way into being a 5 but looking like a 10. or being a 7 and looking like a 10. Being a 1 and trying to look like a 10. It's the more effort you have to see. A person, the harder they have to they try, you got, like lies, appearances. It's like the harder it goes, you have to understand. But the problem that you have, when you start comparing people, though, and you were like, oh, you're a 7, oh, see, you can't even really do that. That's what I'm saying. It's a pass or fail. You can't do that, because my 7 could be that person's. My 7 could be that person's 10. Their 10 could be, anything above everybody else's 4. It's too subjective. It's pass fail, man. In all reality, either you're a 10 out of 10 person or you're not. And that's not a knock on anybody. Not really. I mean, that's just saying, hey, you're not quite there. You're not quite there yet, so you just got some work to do. Unless, you don't want to do the 10 out of 10 thing. You know what I'm saying, in regards to like the right thing and the best thing for humanity. I have to clarify that, because everybody's shooting on different heights. So when we're talking about humanity, I'm just saying I'm always gonna make the decision 10 out of 10 times, man, to benefit that. And you realize, man, honestly, when you do it and you kind of get there, you realize, man, like it's not it's not, you really realize it's not really as hard as you think it is. It's like starting a job with a bunch of with a lot of responsibility. And you're a little overwhelmed when you get there, and then you've been there a couple years and you just think it's like cake work to you, Typing with one hand, you done got everything figured out. You realize once you figure it out, it's easy. It's not really that hard. But it just costs too much. It just costs too much. Hence, my company desires the whole deface the currency concept. It's what it is. It's what it is, man. We just gotta want to be better people to each other. You do that, man. Maybe some of this unnecessary bickering on social media outlets can stop it. The world can get back to trying to be a better place and try to make America great for once. I think that would be a good. I would love to hear responses to that. Like if somebody to say, and I'm talking about somebody that truly believes, that honest to God believes that America was once great. You don't have to feel guilty about it or anything. I just want to know. I would love to hear justification. I guarantee there's probably some viewpoints. I don't know. I can't think of them all. Can't think of them all, so there's no way I can, say, hey, I'd probably think about that. But I would love to hear that. The responses to make America great for once. That'll be fun. Hey man, speak your mind too, man. if you gotta, hey man, if you want to share, but you don't want to post it, I promise, I'll mention it. I'll mention it anonymously, but I don't know. I guess if I share them, I guess I can share them. Yeah, share them and we can talk about it. I think that'd be interesting to hear the response to that. If I was like, hey man, I mean, mission statement of the country. Forget all that. Forget all that talk. You know what I'm saying? On all that talking, them games we playing, or on the TV. Some of these news outlet stuff. If we all just believed in the concept of making it great for once, we could get somewhere. But see, this is the step where we're going to have a problem. Not everybody believes that. That's the problem. That's a problem that right there. I mean, that's where the conversation would need to be had. mean, it's just that, like, hey man, why do you believe that? And then you know, don't get mad at them. They let them, you know, talk it out. Talk it out. Man, let me get in here. I'll ramble all night.